The problems inherent in a siloed or traditional approach to risk assessment and management are all too common. The reality is that risk management is now a cross-functional team activity that requires multiple points of view and skills to effectively mitigate risk. Without that unified approach, the risk of gaps and duplication is far greater. Under the Security Executive Council's Unified Risk Oversight model, the enterprise risk assessment traditionally identifies 150 to 200 of the most significant risks to the organization, and executive management generally is assigned the top 15 to 20 risks by the board of directors to manage and mitigate. The remainder of the risks in the list are what we call operational risks. This is the focus of Unified Risk Oversight. This chart is a summary of a significant research project conducted by the Security Leadership Research Institute. We surveyed a number of companies and reviewed their enterprise risk assessments, looking for the risks that all companies had in common. Over 50 corporations participated from 18 different vertical markets. The categories you see on the left-hand side are defined by the SEC. The second column on the chart are the risks that all of these companies had in common. The third and fourth column are the results of polling security leaders globally as to the services and mitigation strategies they had identified to mitigate the corporation's most significant risks. This chart quickly shows the value security can bring by addressing the most significant risks in the company, and is often also used as a gap analysis to identify services and risks that are currently unattended by corporate security. An effective Unified Risk Oversight program rests on three foundational principles. All key stakeholders must agree on the risks. All key stakeholders have risk mitigation responsibilities, and the roles and responsibilities are clearly defined. In this graphic, the attackers represent specific risks an enterprise decided they want to mitigate. These may include business disruption, competitive espionage, cybercrime, and environmental hazards. The 17 blue columns represent the organizational functions or departments that may be affected or responsible for mitigating these risks, and the resources that they could bring to the mitigation process are varied and deep. What differentiates Unified Risk Oversight from a similar concept of enterprise risk management is that the executive leadership team generally manages those most significant risks, and the rest of the risks identified in the enterprise risk assessment or operational risks are often ignored or at minimum casually addressed. It's these operational risks that become the responsibility of the cross-functional key stakeholders. The CSO may be in the best position to lead the Unified Risk Oversight process through a corporate operational risk council. When risk is managed by the URO method, all decisions to transfer, avoid, mitigate, or accept risk are made in full consideration of their impact on the business units and the stakeholders. Of course, this means not every decision will reflect what you may feel is the best option for security, but every decision will take security into account and seek to provide the best possible outcome for the business. When employing URO, it's important to note and to communicate to the risk owners the mitigation strategy effectiveness and the residual risk that will exist after the application of mitigation. This graphic represents the risk mitigation process and the remaining residual risk after mitigations are applied. The gray bars are filters as compared to walls. A mitigation strategy will never fully stop a risk. It takes layers of protection, with each layer filtering out more of the risks that may impact the organization. The distance between the bars is the residual risk. And the purpose of this slide and of the process is for security or the risk council and executive leadership to agree upon how much risk the risk owners are willing to accept. How much residual risk are they comfortable with? Do they want additional mitigations to be more comfortable, recognizing that each layer of mitigation generally costs money and can create more inconvenience or complexity in getting a business function completed? In any organization, the risk appetite can vary depending on business conditions, organizational maturity, and earnings. That risk appetite must be reviewed frequently to make sure that the mitigation strategies are in line with the organization and its leaders.